Hello everyone. Today we're thinking about Pablo Picasso and the work that he did that was called Cubism. So Cubism was a way of seeing where he would take an object or a person and instead of representing it in a photographic way, he would make it quite abstract, but you could still see some elements of either the person or the thing within it. He would break up the space around it, add patterns and colours and create something very different. These are some cubist pictures that were done by year 5 last year in school. And you can see they took different objects, broke them up, broke the area around them up and added patterns and colours to create a really interesting work of art. So this one was an orange with the area broken up, a fish, a bird, a chicken, a butterfly, and I just think these works are really exciting and really nice, and that's what we're going to do today, create a piece of cubist art. So if we look at some of Picasso's work, this is one of his cubist pictures. If you want to pause the video and look at it more carefully and take time with it, that's great. But I can see that it's a guitar. So I can see this is the outline of it, but it's also added in probably different things that are going on in the room at the time. This bit here looks a bit like a chair. And he's included patterns. So let's just have a quick look at some of these patterns to see if we can include them in our artwork. So there are stars, simple star shapes. In fact, I've done that more complicated. More like that. And then there's these lines close together. Zigzags. Little circles. And here, there's lines going one way and then in the opposite way. If we look at this one, this piece by Picasso it's also got a guitar, but it includes some collage elements as well. Now collage is when you get pieces of paper and stick them on top, or the whole artwork can consist of pieces of paper stuck on, or it can be parts. So some of it can be drawn and painted, and then the extra paper can be added on and drawn over, or not, depending on what you want to do. So you can see here pieces of paper stuck over the top. So this is something you might want to consider when you're creating your cubist piece of art. Do you want to do it all with markers or coloured pencils or paint, or do you want to use pieces of paper in it as well? That's up to you, but I would do a bit of experimenting first before you decided. So on this one, there are, if I move this across, you can see these wavy lines that he's included. That looks to me a bit like the edge of a rug that might have been there in the room. And here, dots close together. And there, it's like letter C's, put like that. So all those elements are ideas that you can use in your work. Here's another piece that Picasso's done. This is a still life. So this is just taking something ordinary and changing it. So what he's done here is he's taken 3 pears that are probably in the fruit bowl and a jug. He's drawn the pears in black and white, but stuck pieces of paper on top to add colour. He's made the jug look rather strange, so you're perhaps seeing both sides of it at the same time. But I really like this. It's quite a simple piece of artwork, but I think it would look really good. So that might be something you want to consider in your cubist art. One of the children last year did an orange as the centrepiece of theirs. You could maybe think of doing a pear or an apple, or more than one pear and apple. This is what one of the children last year did, and I'm showing you this one because he did very little solid colouring. Most of his shapes had colour added in by just doing simple close together stripes and a few spirals. So if you don't like spending ages colouring in sections, you could think about adding patterns to the shapes that you create. And here's another one. I like this one because it's a butterfly. Quite hard to see the butterfly. You have to look quite carefully at it. And then you can see that what Ella's done here is she's used more than one colour. She's coloured the background in the pale colour. Then she's put a darker colour on top and a lighter colour on top of that. And I think that looks really well. It makes a very complex design. She's also just put some really bright circles of colour here, which are quite fun. And this one was done last year. And this is a cartoon character, I think, called Kevin. So that's the central part of Dexter's picture. And then he's added shapes and elements around it. So to create my cubist picture today, I'm just using basic copy paper. But you can use whatever you've got. White card would be good if you've got white card because the surface is quite smooth. And if you're going to use felt pens on it, they colour in a lot better. And I'm going to do a flower. So I've just found a circle, just looking around the house to start my flower off. And I'm using a Sharpie. But remember, if you use a Sharpie on copy paper, it will go through to the other side. So put something underneath it. Or you can use a black felt tip pen, or you can use just a pencil. And then I'm going to do petals on my flower. So now I've drawn my basic flower shape. And when you are doing your cubist picture, draw what is the main object in your design first, and then work around it, breaking it up and adding extra things. So I want to use a ruler to break up the shapes. If you don't have a ruler, you can use anything that will give a straight edge. So that could be the side of a notebook or a bookmark or a piece of straight card. And again, I'm going to use a Sharpie, but you can use whatever. So when you're making a line, make a line from a line is the best thing. Because if you make a line here and then you just stop, you're not creating a shape. So you need your lines to join together. So you are creating shapes. You can use circles to draw around. Not necessarily do the whole circle, but just do parts of it. And then just continue breaking up your picture into shapes. So I broke my picture up and I've done a mixture of curved lines and straight lines, and now I'm going to start to add colour. So as I said, you can use colour pencils, you can use paint, you can use Sharpies, you can use felt pens, whatever you have around that works. So I've got some nice brightly coloured Sharpies. So if you're going to complete a whole section in one colour, take time at the beginning, going around your shape, and then you can colour the middle bit quite quickly. And when you're colouring, just go in little steps like this so that you don't leave any white gaps. So you can get the idea from this that you can colour in some areas in a solid colour. You can colour some areas in a solid colour, then add a darker colour on top of it. You can put patterns in just one colour. You can put patterns in two colours. So I want you to have a go at creating your cubist art. Maybe do some experimenting first. Try out a few different ideas. Think about different objects that you could use as your main focus. Try out a few ideas of different patterns. Try out colours on top of colours and see what works. Even think about adding some different coloured paper. You could use tissue paper if you've got some, or you could use newspaper or from a magazine. Just cut up some bits of paper and stick that on and maybe draw over the top and see what happens. But I want you to have real fun creating your cubist design. So I'm just going to show you a couple more ideas from the ones from last year again. I'll just zoom in. You can always pause the video if you want to look at these more carefully and take more time to get ideas from them. But you can see lots of different ideas here. Like I said, these really nice circles of bright colour look great. And the crossover patterns. And this one, there's lots of lines in here, but there's also some nice spirals, which look good here. And a different mix of solid colouring. So, have fun creating your cubist pictures, and I'll look forward to seeing them when you post them up on Class Dojo.